YouTube family, hello and welcome. Pick up some easy karma points by hitting like and subscribe as we anxiously, beautifully await the Champions League group stage draw. Vamos! Well, it's here, the Champions League draw. It's here, baby, and this is your watch along. Welcome. I'm LME. James Benj in the house. How are you, James?
I am very well. I'm very well because I have just found. So I don't want to kind of overdo this.
Yeah.
But we have time to kill, don't we? Probably quite a lot because it's a UEFA Champions League draw. Well, on the subject of activities to kill time, I've just found loads of bubble wrap under my desk.
Where is it coming from?
Well, so I don't want to kind of pull back the curtain too much on life, but as you are aware, LME, and people that I work with, we've kind of been out of our house living with family for about a year now, while we have what should have been quite minor renovations done.
Yeah.
So obviously all of our stuff is in boxes. It comes out of boxes. It was in bubble wrap when it was in boxes. The bubble wrap becomes available for me to pass my time with. So
you know what my eternal question is, Bench? How does anybody get anything done at a bubble wrap factory?
A very, very good question.
I don't understand.
Because it can't get old. I mean, I presume there's someone there whose job it is to sort of test the sort of poppage of the bubble wrap to just sort of confirm that it is like pops like satisfyingly.
Yeah, bubble wrap is the Champions League winner of protective textiles, I would say.
Isn't it just?
There's nothing like. Welcome, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that bubble wrap conversation. James Bench in the house. Make sure to follow his content, all his work, CBS Sports at James Bench. And of course, Mike Lahoud will join later on, as well as Jonathan Johnson as well, to give his take on everything Champions League draw. This is the live watch along. Of course, we have a few minutes before it starts live. We're all ready to check it out. You can watch it on CBS Sports Paramount Plus, by the way, if you can. But very interesting. A lot to discuss before, during, and even after the draw. And after the draw, we'll hit the reset button and discuss and recap it all. And that will be in podcast form. So super excited. Because this is live, everybody, we want your questions straight away. What are you hoping? Just give me your best idea of a group. Give me your worst idea for a group. What do you not want to see? What do you want to see? I want to hear from everything from Man City fans to Rangers and Celtics fans. I want to hear it all. So let's recap the qualifiers for a second. I mentioned Celtic and Rangers back together for the first time since 2007, 2008, James Bench. How cool is that to see two Scottish giants back together in the Champions League?
It's fantastic. I'm really excited. I mean, especially in a way, even though my grandparents and the like, or my grandmother would kill me for saying this, especially for Rangers, because obviously we knew Celtic were in the hat. And I mean, it speaks to the fantastic work that both clubs have done in European football. They basically earned the right to have one team and a qualifier in this group stage. And look, I think we all kind of think because they're going to be in pot 4 and they're not, full of superstar names, that they'll be easy outs. Go and ask RB Leipzig, one of the best teams in Germany. Go and ask them how easy it is to play against Rangers at a rocking Ibrox. I haven't sort of spoken to our editors and producers yet. I thought I'd wait till the group stage draw drops, but like having been at Ibrox for that semi-final,
you want to go again.
Get me back there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they need a Real Madrid and maybe like a Tottenham, like some Battle of Britain vibes, or a Real Madrid, a big team at Ibrox.
Yeah.
My God, the place was physically bouncing.
I think you hit the nail on the head, man. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think seeing these two stadiums like Celtic Park, the Ibrox, just, hosting Champions League matches, the atmosphere is going to be absolutely tremendous. So well done. And by the way, to obviously all our USMNT American followers in Soccer We Trust, etc. There's a lot there. Malik Tillman, James Sands, CCV, of course. Here's a question for the chat. Thank you, Des Norris. Which of the Old Firm teams will go furthest? What do you think? It's Rangers or Celtic? What do you think, James Bench? Just instinctively. Obviously, it depends on the group, but...
Yeah, I think we probably still have to be like honest and say what we're really asking is which of them will go further in the Europa League.
With all
probably. I mean, so I think Rangers will go a little bit further and will be more of a nuisance in the group stage, because last season in particular, and before, they battle harden them a bit. They're ready to go deep in European competition. I mean, we have to say Celtic are very similar. I think one of the challenges they've had is they get really tough draws in the knockout rounds of the Champions League, end up in the Europa League, and they're suddenly a bit of a big scalp. But these are teams that have got a really good record. I think with Celtic, they've wobbled a bit too much in European competitions over the last few years for me to be totally confident about them. I don't know if you think the same.
No, I agree. I think that Rangers at this moment, just in the last few years, you can see that they're a little bit ready for, what's at stake in the Champions League, the toughest of competitions. I don't think that's going to be that much of it. I think a lot depends obviously on the groups as well and how they do there. But to your point, I think from the very thin margin of a blueprint that we saw in the Europa League, I think I would say that, GVB's team will probably go a little bit further, but that's, it all depends on how they use that home advantage as well.
Well, unless Aston Villa need a new manager soon.
Yeah,
as well.
well, I was gonna say, I saw a great tweet earlier about, hey, Dad, tell me about Rangers and their journey in the Champions League. Well, it all started, son, when Steven Gerrard took Aston Villa to 14th place, which is a very good point. But yes, it's great to see two Scottish teams back together in the Champions League. Speaking of which, I mentioned some American players there. 10 Americans involved in the Champions League, James Bench. Obviously, some names that we already know, some that perhaps we don't. But the emergence of the American talent is here, very important for a World Cup year as well. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's great to see these talented players get tested. I mean, we saw much the same thing, just playing against the best. And this was kind of when we've had the Christian Pulisic conversations. I always say, like, the best thing they can do, even if it's in fewer minutes, is play against the very best players. I'm just trying to get up that list now, and I'm desperately padding for time while I go through the Twitter feed of some of the more American reporters. I think Grant Wall was among the people that tweeted those 10 names. But we always say, if he can get fit.
Here's all the names.
Go.
Yeah,
Gio Reyna is obviously
one.
Yeah, the one that you just think, if he can get fit, he's a player that can bend a Champions League game to his will. I mean, Weston McKennie, like, the thing is, when you kind of see him, you have these like doubts about some of his technique, but his more intangible qualities, he never lets you down, comes up with big goals. There's guys on there I really like, and Timothy Chandler at Frankfurt, just a mountain of a man, or mountain maybe isn't the right word, but he's certainly going to be tough if he comes on the pitch for anyone to get past.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, this is a great time to welcome in, and complete our Fantastic Four. First of all, Mike Lahoud, Jonathan Johnson, welcome to our live watch-along. James Bench in the house. Hey, everybody. We started this watch-along, by the way, talking about the beauty of bubble wrap. So I don't know where we will go from here. But welcome, boys. Glad that you're here. Obviously, the draw will start very, very soon. I just wanted some thoughts very quickly from both of you on, we just talked about 10 Americans now involved in the Champions League in this campaign, 2022-2023 season. Mike, what are your thoughts about it? I mean, it's great to see just the number of players, specifically in a World Cup year as well.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of these players are potentially playing for their plane ticket to get to the World Cup. I'm thinking of James Sands, the starting center back for Rangers now, played in the Champions League tie to get Rangers to the group stage. And I think he's a quality player, a player that Greg Berhalter will have his eyes on alongside so many other players. And I think listening to both of you as I was coming in, you guys were talking about Gio Reyna. What an X factor he could be, but great to see Americans. Christian Pulisic, he was the one leading the way for this young group. Champions League winner a couple of years ago. Can he get back to his best? But really good time for U.S. men's national team fans to see Americans abroad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of guys who I'm really looking forward to seeing and who they come up against. I mean, one thing that really struck me as well against the draw, moving slightly away from the USMNT factor, is the fact that the country represented the most in this season's draw is actually Germany with 5 teams, which was pretty surprising to me when I was going through like all the details ahead of this draw last night. So something I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on once the draw actually gets underway, which, as we know, can take a bit of time, and fingers crossed we're not going to be forced into a retake as we were on one of these ill-fated watch-alongs.
Oh, well, I tell you what, and JJ's talking about the fact that last time around, JJ and I had to do a show, and then we had to do it all over again, thanks to former Arsenal Andrei Arshavin and James Bench. I'm expecting you write a big... well, let's hope that he's not there, first of all. All right. Hey, listen, Des Norris, let's show those pots on the screen. Let's get everybody's thoughts about it, what they want, what they don't want. And by the way, this is live. Throw in your comments, specifically, if you're focusing on a team specifically as well. All right. So here's pot 1, Real Madrid, the champions. Eintracht Frankfurt, and I really want your thoughts on this. By the way, the fact that I know that they won Europa League, but should they be in pot 1? It's kind of ridiculous. AC Milan, okay, Ben says yes. AC Milan, Ajax, Bayern Munich, Man City, PSG, Porto, and the draw is starting now. But just give me your thoughts, James Bench, on pot 1, and just this is it. Do you think the creme of the creme?
I always think pot 2 has a little bit more danger to it because you tend to have sort of 3 English teams, 2 Italian teams, and Spanish teams. Kind of on your point about the Europa League winners, definitely they should be in pot 1. I mean, it is one of the most competitive competitions in Europe. I mean, let's set it against, let's call a spade, Ligue 1 and the Bundesliga. Are we really sort of claiming that they are harder to win contests than... than the Europa League? At least they have the Europa League has like 2 or 3 teams that might win it any season.
You know what? I'm feeling really called out by James Bench right now, but I'm in this really awkward situation where I'm kind of half agreeing with James. I'm not going to rise to the Ligue 1 bait just yet, but at the end of the day, it is the Champions League. So if you've won something, then it's logical that you're in the top pot. I mean, we have to take it back to what the Champions League is in essence. And I think that there should be more of that actually, where, clubs are actually rewarded for winning something rather than just scraping into it in 4th place.
Yeah, I'm with you, JJ, because Benj, I feel like it wouldn't be a show if we didn't disagree. I know JJ and LME, you guys are thick as thieves with Villa. So I'm going to go with you, JJ. Look, at the end of the day, this is a Frankfurt team that I think was good enough to beat some of these other teams in the pots that they're in. And they've lost a lot of players. It's a new season, but they have good players in their ranks. And we can't judge a team based on how they've started the year. I mean, there's been previous champions and previous teams that have made it to the higher pots. They haven't started the season well. We didn't say anything about that, but makes you wonder, though, at the end of the day, Frankfurt.
It will be interesting indeed to see how they do and where they end up as well. And by the way, get your comments in. Okay, should Frankfurt be in pot 1, etc., and talk to me about the teams that you're supporting at this draw.
I can't help but see. I can see the comments, and I can see one person that's not happy I'm on this show. Why is James Bench called for European shows when he is clearly biased? I feel like. I assume he means like against or in favor of the Premier League.
Yeah, I think he means that, but so am I. I mean, I just got to tell. Listen, I got to tell my grandmother to stop commenting all the time. Like, I think that's the problem as well. By the way, the Champions League app is about 2 minutes behind according to producers. So I need to make sure that you all tune in on the Paramount Plus app, because that's local news. That's fantastic stuff. Great. So make sure that you stay in live. Des Norris, you're going to have to keep me live on this one. All right, let's go to pot 2. Can you show me pot 2, Des Norris? Because there's some... Pot 2 is always the most intriguing one to me, because it's one whether it's like, do you deserve to be in pot 1 or do you deserve to be in pot 3? Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, Juventus, Liverpool, RB Leipzig, Sevilla, and Tottenham coming back to the Champions League. James Bench, let's start with you. Thoughts, pot 2?
I mean, there's no one you desperately want to draw there at all, is there? I mean, I feel like at this stage of every season, we say Atletico Madrid aren't what they were. You know, they'll be a team that you can easily knockout. They might not even get out, and they quite often make a meal of it. But like they get the job done, and then probably beat someone in the knockout round. So, I mean, maybe against someone like Leipzig, but there's no team here I'd want. I mean, the obvious ones to avoid are Liverpool, Chelsea, and to an extent Barcelona. They're the ones you want to steer clear of. But like, no one's going to come out of this going, "I'm really happy," unless they get Sevilla.
You know what? I'm not sure I quite agree with that. But I definitely agree that Liverpool are the team to avoid in the whole pot. But otherwise, I'm looking at them. I don't know whether I'm sort of biased in this judgment because of the way some of these teams have started the season. But I'm not really thinking that teams are going to be that filled with fear, given the way that Chelsea are playing at the moment in the Premier League, especially given the way Sevilla have started the season in La Liga. Barcelona, I mean, it's a very new group of players. Yes, we know they have a lot of star power, but also at the same time, Barca are under so much pressure, to start delivering success immediately and then sustain it, that I think it kind of plays into your hands if you do end up drawing them. Juve look like they're going to take a while to get going in Italy. Yeah, I think Leipzig have sort of that wild card factor where they're always going to be sort of tough opponents that could potentially get a result against you, but then will probably fall away to third and drop into the Europa League at the end of the group stage. But aside from Liverpool, I don't think that it's as brutal as it perhaps could have been and has been in past years, Group 2.
If I'm a team in pot 1 and I get Chelsea or Juve, given their current state of affairs, I'm crip walking to the next round. I'm doing
I need to
somersaults.
see that for real.
I know. You should have seen our wedding film. But those two teams alongside Sevilla, Sevilla right now, they're in turmoil. They do have players, but the chemistry isn't there. The mentality from Sevilla isn't there in La Liga. They're a very vulnerable team. But Chelsea and Juventus, injury woes for Juventus. Chelsea just in need of a striker. Don't care what you say about it. Sterling alone is not the answer up top. Between Havertz, Mount, and Sterling, you still need that focal point to get it right in a league like the Champions League. And Juventus, oh man, they're right for the picking. And I think we could see that this weekend in their Serie A game against Roma.
Yeah.
Can I just dive in on? Can I just dive in on Chelsea? I think we forget they didn't really have a striker when they won the whole thing. I mean, they'll get out of the group unless they get some really hellacious group. And then, I mean, it's really hard to know. I was just looking at the numbers. Tuchel's first 30 Premier League games, they conceded 17 goals. The next 30, they conceded 34. If the defense has actually dropped off, which it seems like it might have done a bit, then I'm with Mike that they're not a contender. But if, Koulibaly, Fofana, Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta, three of those four, if they can get a settled rhythm together, like, I don't think there's any reason they can't win the whole thing.
Yeah. Chelsea just seemed to me a team where like the opponent is figuring them out a little bit better than at the very beginning. And I think that that's part of it. And that could be a factor in the Champions League. I think Jesse Marsh's Leeds United showed that. But to your point, I think, the more this progresses, Chelsea will figure it out. They'll get out of the group, like Ben said, unless it's obviously a ridiculous one. Pot 3, by the way, Des Norris, what does that look like? Pot 3 is an intriguing one. And by the way, the Paramount Plus stream, make sure they watch the Champions League draw along with us as well. So have multi-screens for this. But right now, the draw is all going on right now. It's all the Alexander Seferin is pumping up and PRing UEFA right now. So I'm sure we'll get the talent coming out soon. But here's pot 3. Benfica, Dortmund, Inter Milan, Leverkusen, Napoli, who are surprising me already, by the way, this season. FC Salzburg, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Sporting. All right, Mike, the mic is yours, so to speak. What do you think of pot 3?
I'm hoping that the storyline in pot 3 could be Salzburg going up against Chelsea and Jesse Marsh, the ghost of Jesse Marsh from Leeds, haunting Chelsea in London. And I can't wait to be the one to say, I told you so. If not, if it goes horribly wrong, I can't wait for JJ and Benj to absolutely rip me to shreds. But I'm going to stay away from that storyline for now. I just wanted to put it out there. I mean, the biggest names are Napoli, how they've started Serie A, Dortmund, post Erling Haaland, and Sporting Lisbon. If they get Cristiano Ronaldo, can they be a talking point in this group? But I think Dortmund and Inter Milan are the two biggest names alongside Napoli.
Surely Ronaldo is going to be starting his Champions League campaign in pot 4 with Marseille, which we'll get onto in a minute. But the ones that I'm actually going to keep an eye on in pot 3 are Benfica, because they made a surprisingly deep run last season when nobody expected them to. And actually, some of their business so far this summer and the way that they've started the season, certainly in the qualifiers, has been pretty impressive. So they could be one of those teams that you kind of rather avoid. I mean, Dortmund's always a difficult place to go, no matter how they're sort of making inroads into life without Erling Haaland. I mean, Inter as well, there's plenty of pedigree there in that team. Napoli have started the season very well. I think, Shakhtar, they're probably the elephant in the room here, because obviously they've, had a very good record over the years in Europe, but it's a very difficult situation for them to be in at the moment because of what's going on, with Russia's war on Ukraine. So I think they're going to be up against it, as you'd expect. But also then you look at Leverkusen. Leverkusen's start to the season in the Bundesliga has been dreadful. So I think there's a few teams in this pot that are perhaps more obvious picks than others.
Absolutely. It's going to be a big one. You wanted to jump in? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just give me Kvaradonna. That's all. I can't even say that. I can't even say the nickname. But like JJ says, I mean, with Shakhtar, that could go one of two ways. I mean, but especially because these are games being played in Poland, I feel like maybe that loses some of the, however you want to call it, the emotional power and heft. I mean, maybe it doesn't. Like, it may well be that in much the same way we've seen kind of with Alexander Usyk in boxing, with Eurovision, with all these things that like this opportunity.
The World Cup qualifiers as well.
Yeah, the World Cup qualifiers. I mean, partly until the Welsh spoiled everything. The opportunity to show the best of Ukraine and to show some sense of normality, it can be a pretty powerful weapon for Shakhtar. So I think they're the most interesting story of any team in the whole competition, and I think equally they could be the most high variance team as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting narrative this season for Shakhtar Donetsk for all the reasons that have been mentioned here. All right, well, let's have a look at the overall spectre. Well, actually, telling you that right now, that hopefully the talent is coming in. I'm seeing Luis Figo on the screen right now, clapping. By the way, a great documentary on Netflix coming out. You got to watch that, by the way. Tremendous stuff. All right, I want to know, what is your idea of a nightmare group? Like, not necessarily a group of death, but a group where for one team you do not want. Like, if you're Man City, do you want PSG again, right? If you're Atletico Madrid, do you want anybody at this point? Is there a group here for a specific team? I mean, JJ, if I ask you about PSG, who does PSG not want? Do they want a tough group in order to toughen them up for the knockout stages, which is usually what happens? Or do they want to ease through it for Galtier?
See, my opinions on this normally don't go down that well on PSG fan base Twitter, because I say that they need the biggest tests possible, or always having one very difficult team to beat in the group bodes well for them. And there's a lot of people who just want the easiest group possible to rack up maximum points and get through, no fusses. I think we've seen generally, PSG play their best football and have their most sort of sustained runs in the Champions League when they've had a bit of a tougher group. When they've had an easier group, they tend to make a bit of a meal of it. And I think also, I mean, James was mentioned earlier, sort of, debating whether Ligue 1 should really, have a spot in pot 1. I mean, I think as well, until we really know how this PSG team looks, on the European stage, it's difficult to really say, okay, they want this group or they don't want this group coming up against these kind of teams. I think they need to be tested to the absolute max under Galtier at the moment, because the initial signs are pretty positive. This looks like a united PSG for once. Obviously that could all fall apart once they get into Europe and they're put under a little bit of pressure, but so far so good. And there seems to be a semblance of unity, which is always quite a token achievement with PSG. So I guess we'll see what the group throws up, but generally speaking, I obviously for me personally, I welcome the opportunity for the big guns to come to Parc des Princes in the group stage. We've seen Real Madrid a couple of times in recent years, so no, it would be. I think it's better for PSG that they at least have one team that they would view as favourites.
Can I do my group of, if not death, intrigue?
Yeah, go for it.
So I did this last night, and I changed my mind a little bit, and partly for much the same reasons as JJ. There's some slightly selfish reasons why this is a group I want, but I had something and I'd be interested to get you guys.
How many Chelsea home matches is this going to involve?
Oh, you're so close. You're just a few miles out. I had Madrid, Spurs, Inter Milan, and Marseille. I think that has the balance of quality. I get my Inter Milan Antonio Conte narrative, which I like. Real Madrid against the team that inspired Spurs to wear white shorts. I know that one's a bit forced, but you'd probably ask Conte a question about it. But also that, sometimes you do a group of death, and initially I had it with Liverpool, but I just kind of thought Inter Milan might test both of them. But Madrid,
let's add the almost impossible narrative of Ronaldo going to Marseille, James Bench, and then, my friend, you have a ridiculous group right there.
Yeah, well, obviously someone has to warm the bench, don't they, for Alexis Sanchez?
I knew he was going to
Schmilik. Why would you want Ronaldo when you've got Dimitri Payet?
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, Payet in his current form is currently warming all the seats on the bench.
Well,
he's got Shudo's view of it.
He will wake up in the Champions League. Mike, what about you? What are you thinking in terms of something that you'd like to see, perhaps a nightmare situation for a team?
I think a nightmare situation for a team is anyone who has to play Inter Milan. This is an Inter team that should be in pot 2. Arguably, it could replace some pot 1 teams. And they're a team that's built for the Champions League this year. They have players who have Champions League experience, who've been successful in this competition. And now can they take that next step as a collective group? They're going to be pushing on the Serie A front, battling the likes of Roma, Juve, the big names. But I think they will take that next step and be a thorn in so many teams' side. And I wouldn't want to see them. And if I'm a pot 1 team, if I'm a PSG, if I'm a City, I think City could be the only team in that pot 1. Arguably Madrid, they played Madrid last year. Madrid did well against them, but I think it was 2 years ago. But this is a different Inter team. I think once they get going, the competition like the Champions League could be a great outlet for the likes of Romelu Lukaku and Martinez. They have players who were once kind of the backup cameo guys who are now coming into their fold. And they also have the veteran experience of Dzeko, who can be the role guy for Serie A while Lukaku and Martinez thrive in the Champions League.
You mentioned Manchester City, by the way, as we are chatting. The talent is showing up on stage. We've got Hamid Altintop, by the way, runner-up with Bayern Munich in the Champions League 2009.
Score of the occasional banger.
That's right. That's right. He won the Puskás Award in 2010, I believe, for that one.
Who else from Turkey do you think they will sort of? We're getting Hakan Şükür for one of these draws.
I think Altintop might just be it, actually, because
every single draw. We're going to have 5 draws between now and Istanbul.
Şükür has to come in at some point. Absolutely right. But the second talent that came in on stage is Yaya Toure. So we got those 2 talented gentlemen. Yeah. So that should be a good one. Yeah. So we're getting closer.
Surely Fatih Terim has to take it. Two guy. If we're on the topic of
two guys
scoring bangers, then two guy definitely has to.
What about Yildiray Baştürk? 2002 baller Leverkusen.
Actually, it's a very good point from Des Norris and JJ as well. A great article in the New York Times But Şükür he's living in exile right now, as far as we know as well, by the way. Arda Turan steps up.
Very much not living in exile.
Mesut
Ozil will definitely
hold on to your shoes if you're in the auditorium for that one.
Okay, I want to know who's going to be the person that really messes this up today. Will we have another Arshavin situation? I don't want that. I don't want to redo this one more time because that was horrible.
Heat the balls, surely. That's what you do.
Exactly.
So that Yaya knows what to pick.
Hey, everybody, you're watching our live watching along. James Bench, Mike Lahoud, Jonathan Johnson, Ellen Echegaray. Of course, we are just waiting to see. Well, we're waiting for the talent to come on stage before the balls will be selected to see who will be in the group stages in the Champions League 2022-2023, which, by the way, you can watch exclusively on Paramount Plus and CBS Sports. until at least 2030, by the way. Make sure that you remember that one. All right, let's talk about some Premier League teams here, James Bench. Yes,
just to really rile up that commenter.
Yeah, I really want to get them going. I want to get
Should we
them
start
going.
on Villa and then go up the table from there?
Oh, Jesus.
Well,
I thought you wanted. I thought you wanted to rile up the listeners, not the co-hosts.
No. If you want to talk about history winning of Champions League, we can't talk about Villa. We can't talk about Arsenal. That's for
Ooh, shots fired.
Well, we can't talk about Arsenal or United because neither of them are in the draw.
You know what? I was going to wear my United jersey in protest of today's show and this draw. So you're happy. You should be happy I'm not doing that.
Let's go back to the actual question. James, I wanted your thoughts on this because we had this conversation in our weekend preview and I really wanted to know what you thought. Liverpool. I'm a little bit worried about them. Not in terms of not being a title contender. I'm sure they'll stick up there. And not even in terms of how well they do in the Champions League. But do you think that before the end of this transfer window, they need to deepen a little bit more?
I mean, maybe just one midfielder would be enough if it's a really good midfielder. Because, I mean, I remember Klopp in the summer was saying, we're not going to do this, look at our numbers. But you run through those numbers, Oxlade-Chamberlain, always injured. Keita, often injured. Thiago, often injured. Fabinho started having injury issues. So then you're very reliant on two fantastic young players. And this is one of the things I think about a lot. Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott are going to be stars. And you do need to make sure you make room for them. But it obviously can't come at a short-term cost. I mean, so I wrote this after the United game. It felt like you were getting little flashbacks to 2019 not 2020 and 2021, in the way that Trent Alexander-Arnold got really badly exposed because the midfield in front of him was not working at optimum levels. And I do think if that's not addressed either in the transfer market or just by all their players being fit, like it will be tough for them to win. But equally, like if you say all of their players are fit, Darwin Nunez is starting, Roberto Firmino gets back to anything approximating form. This is a team that's definitely in the top 3 in your power rankings, top 2, top 4, depending on where you land. I agree with you. I think they'll be fine if they can get fit. But if they can't get fit, I think they have much less room to maneuver even than they did last season. So it's a worry. Yeah, it's definitely a worry.
I'm glad that James is kind of with me about their need to potentially strengthen with one more midfielder. I mean, I feel it is quite obvious that James Milner is no longer really up to the task in any sort of meaningful way physically. And also, I think, if we're talking about the possibility of Keita moving on. I think if you perhaps replace the two of them with one really quality option, that way you can keep Thiago for his best days and when he is fit and informed, because he is a phenomenal player when he is on the pitch. And then, perhaps they have just that bit of extra depth that's needed. We also discussed Trent's difficulties in form at the moment with the midfield not performing that way. But the team that really interests me from the Premier League is Spurs. I mean, seeing them the way that they're performing so far this season, Conte, and his reputation, I think that it really makes for quite a mouth-watering prospect. And I don't really want to put too much premature pressure on Spurs, but Conte and Spurs kind of has the possible makings of following in the footsteps of Pochettino and Spurs. Maybe not quite as impressive. But I certainly think that there's the potential there to go on a deep run.
Man, I'm so surprised we haven't even touched on Man City yet. Holy moly, this team scares the living crap out of me until they come to Old Trafford.
But we see that every season, Mike. They haven't won any. I mean, they've gotten close, and I understand that the final piece is finally here. Erling Haaland and Julian Alvarez, too, actually, I think will probably be more of an impact throughout the campaign here in this journey. But do you think they finally have it now? Do you think they're set now that with Erling Haaland there, Julian Alvarez? Do you think that's enough?
I think it is. I think the fact that they have a number 9. So I go back to the semifinal matchup against Real Madrid. They get the goal. And just if they could have a player in that game where Madrid's putting pressure, they're running numbers in the box, they're pinned in. If they could just be able to clear the ball and have someone who could hold the ball up in a game like that, that's the difference between them finishing out that game. And I think if they go on, they win the Champions League and beat Liverpool. And I just think there's just something about this team this year. Kevin De Bruyne is scoring goals as well as getting assists. KDB looks hungry. Erling Haaland, he's adjusting to life. Alvarez already having a goal in the Community Shield. And I think the most important thing, Bernardo Silva looking like he might actually stay for Manchester City. They have depth in just about every position, and this seems like a well-oiled machine. How could they get better? Well, I think they just did in Erling Haaland. The weight of the world will be on his shoulders, and the fact that he is not going to the World Cup is going to be massive for this team because he's going to be fit, he's going to be energized, and he's going to be hungry, knowing that he's brought into this team to deliver the biggest trophy that they haven't won yet.
Yeah, this is all part of the narrative, though, for their group stage journey. It's always the key about what happens in the semifinals and what even happens in the final. But to your point, yes, they definitely look much more ready than ever before to finally get that trophy for Manchester City. By the way, if you're watching on Paramount Plus, if you're trying to find it, the thumbnail on the home screen is incorrect. So go to live TV scroll to CBS Sports HQ. Hey, I'm just a messenger. Okay, I don't create these things. The pots, by the way,
expert troubleshooter.
I know, I'm about to get in trouble. By the way, we're about to get started here. I forgot to mention pot 4. How dare I? Celtic, Club Brugge, Dinamo Zagreb, Copenhagen, Rangers, Victoria Pleasant, Maccabi Haifa, and Marseille.
Some of the best atmospheres in the competition.
Yes. Can I also say
some of the best
we're
food?
talking about reunions. Mislav Orsic reunited with Tottenham. That's the one we want. After what he did to them, correct. After what he did to Mourinho in the Europa League. God, they chase him out of town.
That's very true. But I think your point, JJ, is correct. Pot 4 is about the vibes and the stadium feeling.
It's been nearly 10 years since Israel had a team in the group stage, and it's been nearly 20 since both Glasgow sides were in the Champions League group stages.
Unbelievable stuff it's going to be. But right now, the draw is about to begin, so make sure that you get ready. We got some good comments, by the way. I believe one of them, I forgot your name, I'm sorry. If you're a Juventus fan, you don't want a Real Madrid, you don't want a Man City. Tell me, if the team that you follow, what team you do not want? And hopefully we'll put them up the comments as this gets ready. But we are basically ready here to go, and they're calling out pot 1, which is Real Madrid, the defending champions. Tchouaméni came in, Casemiro is out, even though they lost a few players like Camavinga and Vinny Jr. They're ready to go, and I feel that they're stronger than ever. Eintracht Frankfurt as well. We've already talked about them, the Europa League champions. Manchester City, the winners of the Premier League, and to Mike Lahoud's point, they look even better right now. AC Milan, finally, once again, Scudetto champions. Can they do it? Can they do the marathon of maintaining that Scudetto title and doing well in the Champions League? Bayern Munich, well, we know what they do in the Bundesliga. It's pretty easy sleepwalking their way through the title, but can they do it in the Champions League? And Paris Saint-Germain, such a force with Neymar and Kylian Mbappe, Messi, but they have never won the Champions League. How about Porto? Always well managed, always underrated, but can they do the business once again since the Jose Mourinho days? And Ajax, Erik ten Hag is gone, and per reports, Anthony is almost nearly gone. But
so is
we'll
half
see
the
if they
squad.
can do it. Yep, that's true. So that is your pot 1. All right, well, I like PSG. I predicted PSG to win last time around, JJ.
And I mean, every season that we've covered the Champions League since linking up with CBS, you put PSG down as your favorite.
And one of these times, I'm gonna be correct. Damn it. No, I'll be very honest with you, boys. I have no idea at this point who's gonna win. But here are the odds to win it. Mike Lahoud, very quickly, if I was to ask you who's winning this Champions League, your instinctive reaction, who is it?
Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich. Going with Bayern Munich. James Bench.
City.
Jonathan Johnson.
You know what? Bayern Munich is a really good shout. I'm very tempted.
You're very tempted.
Yeah.
Come up.
I know LME is going to pick PSG. So
That's right.
I'm going to join Mike in the Bayern boat.
All right, let me interrupt you, boys, because Yaya Toure has just selected Ajax. Edwin van der Sar looking very good these days. His goatee looks very well trimmed. But Ajax is the first team selected, and they are in Group A. And let's see who Yaya picks.
Oh, I'm ahead of you.
Yeah, who is it?
This pair. It's Porto. Getting all
Porto.
Oh,
Group B.
Porto go in Group B. So that's good. All right. Yeah.
So we
you're
know
looking
that
very
Group
good
A
this
is the
week as well.
hipster group, don't we?
Yeah.
Baby,
I,
don't
I love
worry.
I love that we all have different sources that we can be keeping our eye on, but there's no source faster than Twitter for these groups.
Yeah,
that's
Comes
true.
into its
Rob
own for
Harris's
a group
Twitter
stage
feed, I
draw.
suspect.
My producer Des Norris is saying Yaya's still unscrewing the Porto ball where I'm watching. So that's so,
Have you, I a certain,
James Bench, you might be the fastest one.
I
So
am
you
the
tell us, buddy.
fastest.
So go
It's
ahead.
Bayern Munich in C.
Okay, so
I was also going to say, on the subject of people that tweet things really quickly, a certain former Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest striker made fame as kind of the person that was the fastest to tweet goals in the Premier League. And I always wondered how he could do that at a game he was at. And I discovered how one tweet ready for one team to score, one tweet for the other.
But still, that's kind of complicated because you've got to delve into your draft. Unless
he's
you're
got
in
two.
your drafts.
If I remember correctly,
he's
he had
got
two either tweet decks or Twitter,
Wow.
Twitter
or is he just like super adept with his mobile, his phone in his pocket and his hand there, like Julian Escott
tabs browsing has changed
guys,
the world.
He has a team of 5 people just on different accounts just going on it, but it's definitely draft centric. All right, Eintracht Frankfurt, by the way, they are in what group, James Bench? Group D. All right. Okay, so we're still. So this is the most boring part of the release because we're just finding out the pot 1 teams and where they're going to be. James Bench, what's next?
We've got AC Milan in pot E.
Okay, so everything is looking. Yaya Toure doesn't age, by the way. Can we notice that?
It's all that birthday cake he eats.
Such a hater.
If Spurs need a midfielder, sure.
Yeah. Well, Villa need one, so maybe we can get him, guys.
I tell you, he would revolutionize Villa still if he jumped in that
100%. 100%. All right, who we have next, Bench?
He actually looks younger.
Yes,
he had work done.
It's the stress of it's no longer being stressed being around Pep anymore. It just took years off.
Literally years have fallen off him.
AC Milan is in Group E. So
and Real Madrid is in Group F.
Real Madrid in Group F. All right, so the champions, the defending champions in Group F. And of course,
so that means we've got Man City in Group.
We got Man City in Group G.
I'm most excited for how Inter Milan and Shakhtar Donetsk can somehow manage to draw each other, considering they're in the same pot.
Every time it happens. All right, we've already got some comments about Inter Milan fans being a little bit worried. Okay, Yaya, who do you have? City Group G. All right, here we go. Now we get to it good. Bench, it's all you, my friend. You have to lead us the way. All right, this is when it gets interesting now.
The problem is,
teams are in.
I was raised. I think we're not going to have some award in between. I was raised right though, so the problem is when you're speaking, I feel like I have to look at you. But obviously, I have my TV over there, so I don't want to be sort of rudely going like.
I think we've got to start. I think we've got to start a petition to make these awards more interesting. Like, can it not be like the best catering, like in the Champions League? Award for the cheapest beer, which West Ham would never win if they were in the Champions League.
Here's a question. All right, here's a question with that. The 3 of you have been to just about every stadium in the Prem. Who's got the best pies of all the Premier League teams?
Villa's
are very good as well.
Villa's is very good.
Okay. Pie, yeah. Well, what about the teams in the Champions League, in this year's Champions League? Who's got the best pies?
Oh, the Premier League teams in the Champions League?
Yeah, in the Champions League, yeah.
Spurs have really upped the catering game in this new stadium.
I haven't. The last time I saw Tottenham was White Hart Lane Day, so I'm sure they've changed the... Well, James, they've surely changed their catering now to that state.
The media centre.
I mean, sometimes you get some like unexpectedly good ones. Like Basel has some pretty decent. I mean, Basel itself is an experience. You're like walking into a shopping centre. It's actually a stadium inside. Then you get some pretty decent catering, both for the press conference and for the match. That was quite a welcome surprise. Plus Thomas Meunier banger to save PSG a point in Switzerland. But to be honest, I judge like the away days more by the experience than the sort of food that's on offer. Dortmund is pretty good. Club Brugge is an excellent away day, which I rarely miss when PSG draw them.
Yeah, it's a cool little stadium. Go ahead, Ben.
I think we're moving. Marchetti has spun the balls around a little bit.
Okay, so we're in pot 2, baby. All right. By the way,
So-
we didn't mention, but PSG is in Group H as well. So
And PSG can't draw Barca and Liverpool now because of permutations.
yeah, exactly. So this is part 2. Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid, who haven't started
First
so
up.
well this season. We'll see. All right, here we go. Barcelona, Chelsea, Juventus, Liverpool, Leipzig, Sevilla, Tottenham. Part 2.
Leipzig
Bench.
are out first. Leipzig.
Okay.
God, this is
Leipzig,
live recording
Ajax, the Brian Brobby derby.
this. So they can. It would appear they can go in E, F, G, or H.
And they go in, drum roll, please.
Oh, this is Alton Top's in charge of this one.
Oh, Alton Top will take his time, I feel. He'll pick it up and volley it into the screen.
He is taking his time. Obviously, this is not his first.
Remind everybody again what group they can't go in.
Well, I'll tell you what they can go in because we're getting it.
Yeah,
any
that's
second
better.
now. F, Group F for RB Leipzig. I can't remember who the first team in Group F was. Is that Man City?
Real.
Ooh.
That's Real Madrid.
Ooh.
And
I mean, you'd be pleased about that if you were Real Madrid.
so that's what's happening.
Yeah, Real Madrid, RB Leipzig.
All right, that's
you take that.
pretty good for Real Madrid, I would say, with all due respect to RB Leipzig. Thoughts, Jonathan Johnson? Is that going to be a tough one, you think?
Like I said earlier, Leipzig can be one of those teams that surprises people because let's not forget, despite the fact that they took a bit of a spanking against City, they still managed to score 3 goals.
Yeah.
So,
Bench?
I mean, that
Juventus
They are
out next. Go on, keep bouncing, JJ.
Oh.
Why?
Oh boy.
no.
Juventus can get G or
This
H.
train stops for nobody.
Juventus can get Man City or PSG.
I think
PSG.
I think they get
Juve
PSG.
PSG.
I think they. Yep.
It's PSG,
Yeah.
Juventus, and PSG.
Ooh,
Already,
Turin.
it's good.
The
The
Angel
Di Maria derby.
Di Maria revenge game coming at you live.
Do you think that's quite good for PSG, JJ? Because it feels like, I mean, I don't think they're going to be as bad in a few weeks' time, but it probably is one of those ones that will look like more of a impressive win than it maybe was because Juventus are a name, but they're struggling a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I'm not filled with fear about Juve from a PSG point of view. I mean, obvious there is that sentimental attachment to Di Maria, but I think that PSG can be happy with that. Like I said, aside from Liverpool, I don't think there was any team that really would have struck fear into a team like PSG. Certainly, one that is targeting the title ultimately.
I think it
All
could
right,
be
Ben, what do you have?
Spurs, we're waiting on Spurs right now.
Yes, sorry, Mike. We just have to keep on rolling, but we're going to get your word in on what you think regarding Juventus and
So
PSG.
they can be an A, B, C, D, E. Plenty of options available for them.
Plenty
Obviously,
of options for Tottenham.
if they're in A, B, C, or D, I think that would mean that Chelsea then go in E. But Alton Top he's got a bit more in the groove on this right now.
He's getting ready.
Group
He's fine.
D for Tottenham.
And that is
AC
Eintracht.
Milan? Eintracht.
Ooh.
Yeah,
That's
sorry,
the
Des
best.
has written the wrong thing in the chat. That's a dream
Oh, Des.
draw, isn't it,
Yeah.
for Spurs?
Mike Lahoud, thoughts on Tottenham and Eintracht Frankfurt?
Oh man, Antonio Conte's popping the bottle of Chianti right now. If you're him, I think it's a great matchup for him. And look, Spurs arguably could be in where Frankfurt's spot is in that pot, but that's for an argument on another day. I think they will benefit from having a group that they're not tested as much because they're still having a lot of players who need to get in their rhythm. Perisic getting off the mark, but I think the Champions League could be a really good opportunity for some of these players to get in their flow and get this competition up and running.
Ooh, so that forces Chelsea and AC Milan together, I believe.
Yaya
in pot
Toure
E.
just pulled out Liverpool, correct?
Liverpool,
they're-
they can be an A, B, or C because they're
Okay.
grouped with sort of Spurs. I think. Well, they are
Come
now,
on,
but-
Alton Top. Make us happy,
A.
Alton Top.
Also,
A.
somebody just
Group A.
pointed out. Somebody just pointed something interesting out. PSG were planning to sell Paredes to Juve before this draw.
Oh,
Yeah,
Do
no,
they
not doing
complete
that,
it
are
now?
So I was going to say before we jump, you finish because I know you're going to say something. I'll piggyback.
Well,
on.
no, the thing that we only have to just quickly conclude, Liverpool and Ajax, correct?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, so there we have Liverpool and Ajax. That should be an interesting one. Edwin van der Sar is smiling. He looks happy. He looks content, I guess. Who's the next name, the next team here, James Bench?
Sevilla.
Oh, everybody wants Sevilla at this point.
B or C. So that's Porto or I can work out what the problem I've been having is. I've been reading them like across. If you see the big screen up there, it's got like 2 rows of 4, and I thought it went A, B, C, D, and it doesn't go A.
So what is
So there
it?
you go. This is welcome to live broadcasting.
Who did Alton Top pick?
Still waiting. So
He's still
we
working.
have
He's still a little bit
Sevilla.
This is a team everybody wants at this point.
Sevilla City.
Gee, Sevilla.
Sevilla. They're
always
so
do that.
lucky, man.
That
Okay.
is going to be
Is
a
it, are
massacre.
you ready? Are you really sure that's how you feel? Lucky, or it's not a bit more than that?
I mean,
Those warm balls again. Feels quite favourable to me.
Jonathan Johnson, I'm always here for a
Conspiracy
sneaky, controversial
Do
conspiracy
City fans
theory.
hate UEFA because they get such boring group stage draws?
I don't know, but I tell you something. I don't think Sevilla is
Here we
going to
go.
be that easy
The
for
big
them. Who's
one.
next? Who's next?
Barca,
Barcelona.
Oh,
and they can get Porto or Bayern.
oh, geez,
You know,
please get Bayern. Please get Bayern. Please get Bayern. Please get Bayern.
You want Bayern Munich?
Oh my gosh, I want that so bad.
James Bench are waiting patiently to see the
Bayern Barca.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh.
See, the good news is this is like when Eric Ten Hag managed against Liverpool. Is when the bar is like that low, you can face plant and you're still over it.
Porto Atleti to complete.
Okay, which is fine. All right. So far, just JJ, just quick thoughts about these first 2 teams in each group.
I mean, honestly, some already interesting groups forming, but it's hard to look past Bayern Barca. I mean, you always want that kind of heavyweight clash to keep an eye out for, and it doesn't get more heavyweight, especially after this summer and all of Barca's moves. I mean, Lewandowski going back to Munich already.
He's not getting a hero's welcome, is he? He's going to
definitely
get booed out the building. I mean, also, AC Milan, Chelsea. I think. I mean, first of all.
Well,
Robert
Chelsea's
Lewandowski.
picked. All right, keep it going.
Yeah,
Bench.
well,
So
AC Milan, Chelsea, I think is an intriguing one to get a sense of what this Milan side can do. I think they're still quite young and quite naive in Europe, and they'll be against the team that, like, kind of however much changed it is, it's a seasoned Champions League team. But I'm pretty intrigued by that one. I mean, obviously beyond Barcelona, Bayern as well, and PSG Juventus, I think is a really nice glamour tie, isn't it?
Keep on going, James Bench, because they're going pretty quick now. Who's next?
Oh yeah, no, we've got Atletico Madrid against whoever's left. Someone needs to remind me who's left.
Porto.
Yeah, that's a very Atletico Madrid group.
Yeah, is it me? I'm glad it's not just me who feels like Atleti are always in the most meh of all the groups in the
Going to
Champions
top
League.
it with like 11 points.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd argue that. I think Bayern Munich usually gets a favorable group. I think they get the easiest group.
They just had
consistently.
Barcelona and Benfica.
Well, up until now, the game that I'm really looking forward to, and I don't know why, I just want to see Sevilla just get beat so bad this year. I love the city. I don't know why.
You want them to get beat so bad.
Yeah, I think that game, just because it's going to be such a humbling game. I don't know why. This is why after the show I have an appointment with my therapist, so we'll probably talk about that.
I'm just trying to place where this Sevilla like built up angst comes from. Is this from when Ben Yedder scored at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I think so.
Football heritage.
I think so. I think just really still butthurt.
Yeah, this is definitely what it is. Absolutely. I got to tell you something. Sevilla at home to Man City, it's not going to be that easy for Man City, I think Sevilla, even though losing key players, etc., they're still a very well-managed team. And yes, they've started slowly, but they have a lot of European pedigree, and I think they'll be able to pose some questions. All right, so we're entering part 4. Absolutely.
Jesus Navas will have some points to prove, like, for instance, that he can actually cross the ball, which I don't think he ever did at City.
The Jesus Navas derby. By the way, Des Norris called AC Milan Chelsea the Fikayo Tomori derby is in Group B. But here we are.
Giroud too.
Yeah, Giroud as well. And Rafael Leao, if he ends up going to Chelsea. But
that would be
I wrote this yesterday. They're about to spend about what it would cost for Rafael Leao on Aubameyang and Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
Baffled.
Yeah.
Utterly baffled.
Jim Jameson says, Chelsea trying to buy Rafael Leao, and now they're matched with AC Milan. Yes, you read my mind, Jim. That's correct. Pot 3 looks intriguing.
Here we go. We've got Napoli. it's gonna be good.
Napoli.
Spicy. They've got to be one of the sort of 2 or 3 that you desperately want to avoid, but A, B, C, D are open for them.
And
that
they are going with.
Does that mean they could go with Bayern and Barcelona?
Correct.
That means they could.
Oh, that would be. Ooh.
Which would be, well, the Maradona derby there. That would be kind of incredible. And Napoli are going where, James Bench or Jonathan Johnson? I feel like you're also on the same.
He's got Twitter, hasn't he? He's ahead of me now.
That's right.
On the
That's
Twitter.
right.
Which feed are
A.
you looking at? I feel like I'm all over the place.
Oh,
Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli in Group A.
Okay, that
Ooh,
is
that's
thoughts, immediate thoughts, boys.
Still pretty
spicy.
tasty.
It's a tasty one, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
I think we could get a surprise winner of that
so-
group.
Certainly, if you were sort of picking just because they've lost so many good players, if you were picking a top seed to fall out, Ajax are right at the top now, I think.
I got to tell you something about Napoli. They are, if they continue this rise and they continue to learn from getting these new players and sort of moving on from the experience that they left already, they're going to be a problem. This is a very tasty group. All right, who's next, James Bench?
But also,
Salzburg.
if Liverpool don't pick up, that could
Correct.
get pretty tricky as well.
Correct.
I mean,
calling up
English
that-
teams find it so difficult in what is now the Diego Maradona Stadium. It'd be a tough place to go.
Yeah, Salzburg, and they're going where?
They are going in. I just keep vamping for a bit, and then they will turn up. They've got loads of options. I mean, Altintop is overflowing with balls. Let's not do that for the podcast.
Let's start juggling.
That
They
needs to
are
be the
in
headlights somewhere.
Group E. So Chelsea,
Milan and Chelsea.
Milan, Salzburg. Like Salzburg were good last season and were really like luck was not on their side. Obviously, they even go Bayern a bit of the
But they're still going
Yeah.
through a transition. You would think that this is now, obviously. it's a
Isn't
little
that the
tougher.
draw that Mike Lahoud wanted? Salzburg against Chelsea.
I'm telling you, the ghost of Jesse Marsh is going to come back to haunt. I'm going to wear just a bed sheet over my head for one of 2 reasons. If I get it wrong, you guys will definitely just rinse and repeat on that pod. If I get it right, I'm taking the bed sheet off and I'm going ham on the pod. Just saying.
All right. We will see. James Bench, who's next?
Benfica are out. That's definitely a team you want to avoid. They
PSG,
can
Juve,
only be-
Benfica.
The Darwin Nunez-less Benfica, although they are always a force to be reckoned with.
That's
And
also
they-
the Angel Di Maria derby. This is the group
Yeah, oh
of
my
Angel
gosh.
Di Maria.
There's another. Is that where they're going?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
PSG,
PSG
Juve,
and
Benfica.
Yeah.
So Fidel gets another derby.
Has he played for Celtic before?
That should be his next one.
Sadly, we can't have the full house with Real, and obviously because United aren't
that'd
there.
be-
Well,
Jeez.
All right. So now we have some very tasty groups here. Juventus, PSG, Benfica.
Dortmund have
Okay.
just dropped, and I think their groups available to them are quite limited because, like as JJ said, there's just like it's like a European hotel resort beach. They're in with Man City, the Erling Haaland
Is that it?
return.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Is that
City,
right?
Sevilla,
But
Dortmund. I think this is also true that like City are getting quite a comfortable group again. Although Dortmund, everyone tells me like that watches German football. Defensively, they look a lot stronger. But Haaland back.
well,
PSG.
I mean, you know,
P-
if we saw everything that we saw from Borussia Dortmund against Werder Bremen,
Yeah,
I don't
I was
think that
about-
Man City is going to have any problems. But amazing. We're getting a few, players and former teams kind of derbies here.
Yeah.
Erling
The
Haaland
fun-
facing his former side. Go ahead, JJ.
on that topic, I just got a message from a PSG fan friend of mine, and the first thing he said was, "Can't wait to welcome Rabiot back to Parc des Princes."
Oh, boy.
Just quickly, we've got to further prove JJ's theory. Atletico Madrid have got Porto and now Leverkusen. If Florian Wirtz is fit soon, they might be better, but no.
But that's that group for Atletico Madrid is doable, and at the same time, you could see them failing miserably.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations. All right, who's next here, James Bench? We're closing in right now.
Sporting Clube de Portugal
Okay.
are now out. I thought they were quite good against City and Pote, as we call him, Pedro Gonçalves.
They're a very
Probably
good team.
My guy that I'm going to pick for, the next superstar.
No Mateus
Great
Nunes
stuff.
anymore in this team, of course,
He
but
looks
they have
so good for Wolves.
plenty of talent. Yeah, he's a very good player. But
D.
and they're going in Group D, which is
Should have been writing these down, shouldn't I?
Spurs,
well-
Sporting. and Frankfurt.
Spurs. Oh, Spurs cashing in.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you think that's a good group for Tottenham?
I think it's a great group for Tottenham. I think these are two teams that Antonio Conte will want to make a statement. It's an opportunity for them to make a statement in this competition. And gosh, I expect them. I mean, now they're clear favorites to be top of the group with this draw.
Oh, fantastic. All right, James Bench, what do you have?
Shakhtar are now out, and they
are definitely going in Real Madrid's group.
Of course.
100%.
Magnetism, isn't it? They're like
100%.
magnetically drawn to Real Madrid.
Every single time.
Confirmed. Leipzig as well.
Yeah. It is
Are they going there?
Yeah.
You can't stop it.
Oh, wow.
Cannot be defeated.
You cannot
It is inevitable.
stop it. And I already did a tweet saying that was going to happen. And Real Madrid, Leipzig, Shakhtar Donetsk.
And here's the one no one wanted, Inter Milan.
Ooh.
And they
Hold your
in
Do they go
with
with
Bayern
Barca
Munich
and
and
Bayern?
Barcelona.
Yeah.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my
Inter
goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan. Are we waiting for one more?
I think that is everything done.
Yeah. pot
Pedro
three.
Pinto and Reshmin are chatting. Both lovely people, by the way. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's now the group, isn't it?
So we are
Wow.
now just waiting for the final pot.
Ooh.
As we have, just give me a little recap
Can
here.
we,
Man
can we not
City-
just auto-complete now that we've got the best group?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess, but I tell you something. I really want Rangers in this Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan group.
It would certainly answer your question which of the two old firm teams are going further, not Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, very quick thoughts, Jonathan Johnson, on what you see.
Oh, I mean, there's so much to like about this draw already. I mean, that Bayern Barca intergroup is, massive. I'm looking forward to PSG, Juve, Benfica as well. But there's so many good groups. I mean, aside from that Atletico Madrid group, it's all pretty mouthwatering.
Yeah, James Ben.
Oh no, go on, Mike. Mike, you wanted to speak, and I'm checking the cricket score.
Yeah, I'm just the group with City, Sevilla, Dortmund. I think for a team like Manchester City, those two teams, I know they're coming off difficult results. Dortmund losing 3-2, doing the unthinkable, 89th minute. Sevilla, the less said about them, the better so far in La Liga. But those are difficult places to go when you're one of the favorites. You can easily see them slipping up, especially everything has gone right for City for the most part so far in the season.
Yeah, absolutely right. And now they're just going through the teams of the final pod. We've talked about how exciting it is to see these stadiums are going to be packed. I want a Scottish team in that Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan group. That will be.
I'm so tempted to pray for Marseille dropping into that.
Yeah,
group.
I think Marseille would be.
It's
That would be
only-
terrifying going there.
especially if Ronaldo gets there. But Marseille alone would be tremendous. But
But
top four. is ready to go.
LME just willing the CR7 to OM to happen.
I just want to see. I want to see him score a goal at the Velodrome. It would be kind of amazing. All right. Yep. James Benj, you're up, my
Up
friend.
first,
Yaya Toure.
Yaya Toure unveils Celtic
Oh,
club
please.
to football.
Please.
They can go anywhere.
Anywhere. And they're going.
Oh boy. JJ's normally ahead of me on the Twitter sphere in this
Okay.
regard.
So
Have you
one
got
of
like
you-
double monitor, JJ? That's
It's
what
tense.
Double
It's
monitor.
tense. No, I'm on TweetDeck.
it is. This is.
And-
I mean, so it's taken because there's so many teams. It's taken forever for the Bulls to get to Alton.
Come on, Alton Top, get it together.
You need him
Jeez.
to deliver something.
Need something.
I mean,
good.
you kind of want them to get a British. If you want them to get out of their group as well, like being in a group with Tottenham would not be the worst thing in the world.
No,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be terrible. It wouldn't
Group
be terrible.
F. So they're in with Leipzig and Real Madrid
And who's the third in that one?
and Shakhtar Donetsk. So
That's doable for them. What do you
they've
think,
got a
James?
chance.
Yeah, they got a chance.
Definitely got a chance.
All right. So that one, the first group is completed. Group F is completed. So that is Celtic joining the likes of Real Madrid, the defending champion, RB Leipzig, and Shakhtar Donetsk. Mike Lahoud, can Celtic get out of that group?
Hell no.
Hell no.
I wouldn't say hell no. I say no.
Europa League, I think, is doable. No,
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think that's the target for them. I don't see them getting out of their group. I think RB Leipzig.
Have already lost to the second best team. in
Marseille is
Scotland.
out. Marseille is out, and they are going where? Please. It's a good shout, actually, if they're in the Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan group. It's a very good shout.
They are afraid
Pedigree.
not. They are in Group D with Tottenham, Eintracht Frankfurt, and my BBC app has not updated. And Sporting. Frankfurt, Spurs, Sporting, and Marseille. I feel like that's the hipster group.
Yeah. Who wins that group?
Oh, Spurs.
I'm not sure
I think we're all thinking of who's going to come in second.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
I mean,
I'm not sure
Spurs have to be early favourites.
Eintracht Frankfurt, I believe, has a chance for that second spot, but Tottenham should win that group. Unless
Guys, there's a really big breaking story as we're doing this, and that's that James Benge's feed has overtaken mine in speed.
Okay, so James Benge, you're up. What team is
Copenhagen.
next?
We've got Copenhagen.
Definitely going in the Barcelona Bayern Munich.
Oh God, that's it, isn't it? There's always like one poor schmuck.
Yeah, that just ruins it for everybody.
Group of death.
The Debbie Downer of the group.
They're in World Cup.
Oh,
and they're going where?
They are going in Group G. Man City, Sevilla, Dortmund,
Man
Copenhagen.
City are honestly,
what away days though!
Merry Christmas.
If you could get that Copenhagen one as your, I mean, it's November. If that was like Game 6 and you're a City fan, November in Copenhagen, give yourself a couple of nights out there. You'll eat well, go to Tivoli. That's really what the Champions League is about.
James Benge. Man City, Sevilla, Borussia Dortmund, FC Copenhagen. I feel like, actually, Man City ruins it, but that would have been my hipster group had it not been for Man City.
And on the subject of great away days, we now have Club Brugge.
Club
I'm going to
Brugge.
Bruges in possibly if I can find some free time during the World Cup.
All right, well, Jonathan Johnson, make sure you give those tips for Club Brugge. And Club Brugge,
absolutely.
Where are they going, James Benge? How fast is Alton? They don't have many chances.
Quite a few balls again.
Yeah, and Club Brugge are going to
spinning it. He's spinning. He's taking his time. I don't think we'll have him back for another one. I mean, maybe they're just playing it safe after Arshavin Gate. Club Brugge are in Group B. This is the ultimate Atletico Madrid group. Atletico Madrid, Porto, Leverkusen, Club Brugge.
This is the group that Atleti either falls or lives by, and I'm telling you, it's going to be the former. Well, all right. So they go in Group B with Atlético de Madrid. Who else is in that group, by the way? We have FC Porto, Club Atlético de Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, and Club Brugge.
Again, some great away days, though.
Yeah,
that's
I think I'm leaning towards Atleti face planning in this group.
No getting out of the group. They'll get out of the group. You don't think they'll get out of the group?
I think that I could see them dropping into Europa League, but if they do get out of the group, it'll be on the last day. Oh, Rangers with Ajax, Liverpool, and Napoli.
That's a very sexy group, actually. That's a very sexy group. Napoli, Ajax, Liverpool, and
the
Rangers.
Calvin Bassey derby.
Oh, God. He was phenomenal. He was phenomenal against Leipzig. And I know that has coloured my view, but I think they could get out of that group, Rangers. Unlikely, put them right at the bottom of the...
Nobody will want to go to Ibrox.
No.
Well, clearly the leading contender here is Liverpool, but to your point, James Benge, after that, it's pretty doable for somebody to really take the bull by the horn, so to speak.
Rangers. Who's going to Israel, though? That is the question now.
I mean, talk about atmosphere, right? How long has it been, Jonathan Johnson, Champions League?
7 or 8 years.
Right. So they're ready
best part of 10 since Israel had a team in the group stage.
Is that the next team that was out?
No, Dinamo Zagreb is next. Less actually of a tourist spot. If you're going to Croatia, I've been to Zagreb a few times. It's nice. Wouldn't prioritize it. Head to Split. Head to not the Adriatic. You know where I mean. Dubrovnik. Yeah, do your Game of Thrones tours. Group E, Milan, Chelsea, Salzburg, and Dinamo Zagreb.
Okay, Mike Lahoud, who's getting out of that group?
Gosh, I think not Zagreb. I'm going to go easy peasy. I'm going to go Chelsea. Was it Milan, Zagreb, Chelsea?
I think it's Chelsea, AC Milan, but who's winning it, I guess. Who's winning that group?
I'm going to go AC Milan. I think
All right.
Olivier Giroud coming back in all his former glory to Stamford Bridge.
All right. And who's the next team up?
Maccabi Haifa, and they can
Okay.
get Group C.
They are
Group
definitely.
A.
This is
They've
a
got
team
Group
that's got.
C on them.
And
They are, ripe to pick up 1 point that like absolutely dooms one of these teams.
Oh my God, Maccabi Haifa in Group C.
Although Victoria
It's
Pilsen
PSG
also.
H,
Wow.
Group H.
Is that where they're going?
PSG, Benfica, Maccabi Haifa.
So let's just confirm Maccabi Haifa are going into Group
H.
in Group H. That's an interesting group there, Jonathan Johnson. Thoughts on PSG's chances of that group?
I think PSG should really be targeting top spot, with all due respect to Juve. They haven't started the season particularly well. I think Benfica could be a team to be wary of. Maccabi Haifa, it will be a challenging away day, for obvious reasons. But, I mean, if you're looking at that as PSG, they should be targeting, fairly maximum points, I think, from that group, with all due respect. I think Juve away depends again on the order of the fixtures, but some great games to look forward to there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, obviously, we know where Victoria Pleasant is going, and they are going into the Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan.
That
group.
might be the best. If you're a Victoria Pilsen fan, you can drown your sorrows, one, because home of Pilsner, but you can also, see three great cities and some of the great players in world football.
I mean, you're just going there for to go there. You're not getting out of that group. But my goodness, what a great. All right, so let's recap here. Group A, Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, Rangers. Group B, Porto, Atletico de Madrid, Leverkusen, Bruges. Group C, Munich, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Inter, Victoria Pleasant. Group D, Eintracht Frankfurt, Tottenham, Sporting Club de Portugal, and Olympique Marseille. And if we go to Group E, which is Chelsea, AC Milan. I'm waiting for this graphic to show up and remember the Group E, AC Milan, Chelsea, Salzburg, and Dynamo, of course. Group F, Real Madrid, Leipzig, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Celtic. Group G, Man City, Sevilla, Borussia Dortmund, Copenhagen, PSG, Juventus, Benfica, Maccabi Haifa. All right, talking points. Let's go around the clock. James Bench, talking points from all these groups. What do you think?
I mean, it's probably one of the most exciting Champions League groups, this one group that we've ever had. Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Inter Milan, three teams that I was doing my preparing my power rankings earlier. I had them all in the top 8. I thought all of them could win the Champions League with a fair wind, especially in Bayern and Inter's case. And one of them is going to fall out. And it's huge pressure on Xavi to get his team up and running quickly, because Bayern, Inter Milan, they both know exactly what their managers want from them. And right now, Barcelona have a new centre-back. They can't even register. They're still shipping out this squad. And let's remember, the Champions League starts really early and takes place really quickly. Will be done by November the 2nd. There is huge pressure on Xavi to get this team spot on. And I have to say, if we do predictions maybe in the pod as well, I am not thinking they're getting out of this group. Not at all.
Jump, JJ. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's. There's so much to like about the draw. There's some fantastic groups, some really underrated ones as well. I have to say, I think that the Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, Rangers combination, could be really, really sexy. I mean, obviously Bayern, Barca, Inter, is a huge draw. City. So, there's just so many, fascinating sort of subplots to a lot of these games. Lewandowski going back to face Bayern immediately. Haaland going back to face Dortmund. Di Maria against PSG. There is so much to like about it. Atletico Madrid getting the most athletic of groups, as we've already discussed. It feels like it's made to be a very fun, group stage. And I think there's going to be one or two surprises as well.
Mike?
I'm really excited about Group H. PSG, this is a favorable group for them, but only if they maintain their focus and maintain this killer instinct that they've shown early on in league. It'll be definitely tested, because these are teams that they're playing against. If you don't show up, if you think you're just going to show up and they're going to roll over, you lose. And now there's discord in the dressing room. Keep an eye on that game between them and Maccabi Haifa. It could be Neymar's coming out party where he scores a hat trick and then goes and has the party atmosphere of his life. And then it's just season done for him because, I don't know, he rolls an ankle on the dance floor or something. Not trying to bring bad juju to PSG, but just spitting facts on Neymar's personal life. But realistically, though, the game that I'm looking forward to is that battle between Juventus and Benfica. I think this is a Juve team that we'll see how they react to adversity, given the injury woes that they have right now. And in the Champions League, that matchup against Benfica, it can be very unforgiving if you don't get Angel Di Maria fit and fit fast. Will Chiesa come back and make a difference? They'll need those two players in particular to have any chance of progressing in this group.
Absolutely correct. Well, that was our watch live along. Fantastic stuff, everybody. Pressing the reset button right now as we do an actual reaction and getting much more into it. Make sure to drop in the comments. Qué Golazo Pod on Twitter, youtube.com/Qué Golazo. We are going to take a break. When we come back, a much more detailed look at what we just witnessed as the Champions League 2022-2023 gets going. We'll see you in a little bit. Coming back.
Starfleet, get your Starfleet. Preparing for Warp 10 excitement.
Yeah! This is an unauthorized launch. It is the greatest adventure of your life.
These broken rocks are reading our nightmares, but I don't like my nightmares.
Behold!
So magical.
Whatever happens,
We're in this together.
Wow. We have just witnessed the 2022-2023 UEFA Champions League group stage draw, and we're all in for a wild ride when the competition kicks off next month. I am here with James Bench, Jonathan Johnson, and of course, Mike Lahoud. Barcelona, my God, Bayern Munich, my God, Inter Milan. Victoria Pleasant must be thinking, what have I done to deserve this? Plenty of great, attractive groups all over. Qué Golazo, our Champions League group stage preview begins right now. Hey, everybody, welcome to Qué Golazo. Thank you so much for being part of the family. By the way, Champions League, baby, you can watch it on Paramount Plus. Destination Paris to premiere on Paramount Plus on September 6th, by the way. It's a great documentary following Guillem Balaga's path through Europe for the 2021-2022 UEFA Champions League season, culminating with the final in Paris. And don't forget, the entire Champions League tournament is on Paramount Plus and CBS Sport, at least until 2030. Jonathan Johnson, I know that you have a lot to get going with, so I just want your immediate thoughts straight away, my friend. What did you think of the overall draw? And most specifically, I guess, finally, is this PSG's year?
I mean, I think the draw was fantastic, certainly delivered. I feel like it's the best draw that we've had in quite some time. I think that there's some obvious blockbuster groups and, there are some underrated gems as well. Hard to look further than Bayern, Barca, Inter, and unfortunately for them, Victoria Plzen. But also at the same time, when you've got, the likes of AC Milan, Chelsea, Salzburg, Dinamo Zagreb, that's pretty attractive. I feel that perhaps the sexiest or the most unexpected one is Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, Rangers. And obviously from a PSG point of view, to have them going up against Juve, Benfica, Maccabi Haifa, that has a fair bit of allure as well. I mean, I think in terms of PSG, their outlook on it, they will expect to get out of that group and, try and do so with as full a points haul as possible. Judging by the way they've started the season compared to how Juve have started theirs, I think that they are arguably the favourites to finish top of that pile. But, if they slip up in one of their away days, because they all will be pretty tricky trips away, they're not easy places to go, Turin, Lisbon, Haifa. So I think, PSG definitely start as favourites for Group H for me, but, they'll have to keep up this level of seriousness that they've had since the start of the season. Unfortunately for Marseille, I look at that group and in many ways, they really should be able to compete at least for the third spot, but also at the same time, it's hard not to shake memories of OM's recent forays into Europe and feel that they're going to finish dead last again, unless they manage to bring in CR7, which I know LME is desperately hoping for between now and the end of the transfer window.
Oh, I hope it happens. Jonathan Johnson, always good to have you, my friend. And JJ will obviously be part of our team as we cover the Champions League, and including, of course, major reporting from PSG. He'll be there at PSG versus Monaco this weekend as well. JJ, thank you so much, buddy.
Guys, always a pleasure. See you soon.
I'll see you soon, buddy.
Take
See
care.
you soon. There goes
See
my
ya.
fellow Aston Villa fan. Aston Villa, by the way, we've won the Champions League. All right, let's move on. Let's go here. James Bench, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. I'm buzzing, especially for those teams in London. There's some intriguing draws there, and also probably the promise of a fairly deep involvement in the competition, which means a few nice Champions League nights in London, and for the rest of the Premier League as well. I think they're probably not hoarding the exciting storylines, but then even as we say that, we have Liverpool against Rangers, one of those classic battles of Britain that the tabloid newspapers adore. We have Erling Haaland going back to Dortmund so soon after leaving, and then we have Chelsea against AC Milan, which I think is an intriguing test and gives us an intriguing idea of where both these two teams stand in Europe. So it's all right for the Premier League, but really I'm all about that Bayern, Barcelona, Inter Milan group. I'm just drooling.
Who isn't? Mike Lahoud, initial thoughts, my friend. How good was that draw?
It's so good. I even put on a blazer for the Champions League preview show, and I don't do that for nobody. I had to wear it at our wedding though, because well, the missus would have killed me. But this is just awesome, and I agree with everyone's sentiments about the excitement, the storylines, and it's almost as if they made the draw based off of what would sell most for entertainment value. And if you're a fan, if you're a neutral, Benj, our teams aren't in it, and that's why we're going to go after this pod and do our own pod, just bemoaning that at a later date, not to be specified. But as a neutral, as a fan of football, you have to be so excited. I think the fans are who won most in this draw. So many different games. I know I'm going to be just looking through and perusing through match to match to match, because each match day is going to be massive.
Absolutely. All right, so let's just quickly recap, by the way, the groups here. And Group A, Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, Rangers. Group B, Porto, Atletico Madrid, Bayern Leverkusen, Club Brugge. Group C, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Victoria Pleasant. Group D, Eintracht Frankfurt, Tottenham, Sporting, Marseille. And Group E, AC Milan, Chelsea, Salzburg, Dynamo Zagreb. And Group F, Real Madrid, Leipzig, Shakhtar Donetsk, Celtic. And Group G, Manchester City, Sevilla, Borussia Dortmund, and FC Copenhagen. All right, straight off the bat there, James Bench, what matchups are you looking here? Because some are very, very tasty.
Well, yeah, I mean it's the trio of the round robin in Group C with Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and Inter Milan. I mean, obviously, kind of you have to say within this, no one thinks Victoria Plzen will get out of their group, let alone even make the Europa League. But it becomes one of those things where when the stakes are that high, can you make sure you're the one team that gets 6 points? You're not the team that slips up. We see that so often in the big groups. I mean, basically what cost Barcelona getting to the knockout stages last time was that thumping against Benfica, who obviously beat them, but it was, who's picking up the points. I don't think that Barcelona will get out of it, to be honest. I mean, we were saying this just now on the live stream. Inter Milan, I think a good team, not a great team, but a team that knows what they're doing, that have kind of honed around the edges and obviously taken a bit of a step down since Antonio Conte's best years, but they still have quality across the pitch and they know what they're doing. Bayern can sometimes overcomplicate under Julian Nagelsmann, but equally when you see what they're doing in the Bundesliga, this looks like a machine, a team that's better for not having Robert Lewandowski. And Barcelona are still integrating players like Lewandowski, still waiting for Jules Koundé to be registered, to work out what are they doing in midfield. Still, at the moment, still kind of reliant on a teenager or 20-year-old in Pedri to get this team going, to give it some identity. Like, they're a work in progress. Bayern Munich and Inter are their own versions of the finished article. So, I mean, look, it's going to be 1 or 2 points in it between first and second, but I have a feeling it'll be Barcelona that slips down into the Europa League. I don't know about you guys.
I love that you said that because you read my mind. I think this is a Barca team that's going to miss out on qualifying for the next round, and here's why: they're on their house on fire, and after the group stages, they will be a full on enfuego and inferno in that mansion of theirs, that hollow mansion right now, because there's just so much uncertainty within the club. Watching their game against Sociedad, that was not it was relief rather than confidence boosting. It was relief to see Lewandowski getting that first goal, but it was a Sociedad team that really outplayed them up until the last 20 minutes. And they have so many riches in terms of talent they can bring off. Individual moments of brilliance is what I think this team really relies upon. Disgruntled players will be their undoing, and they'll be playing against teams that are unified. This Bayern Munich team is ruthless. And when I see that matchup, if Julian Nagelsmann plays a back three, I'm gonna call him on WhatsApp. Julian, I know you watch this show. You heard it here first. If you see my number, pick up, first of all, because I think you're a really good tactical manager. But don't overcomplicate it. Jeez. But I'm gonna go outside this group and go to the City group. Gosh, Manchester City, this could be their year. I think this very well will be their year with Erling Haaland. That return back to Dortmund, you know he is going to want to score. You know Kevin De Bruyne going back to Germany, he's going to tee him up. There's going to be such a storyline, and I think that could be one of the talking points for them. Could that game, if he gets going, if he just smashes a hat trick, could that be the game that then gives City that just chest puffing presence in the Champions League to go on and win it?
Well, I mean, I suppose the thing with City is they can, of late, they've made pretty light work of more challenging groups than this. And I think they'll be absolutely fine. And maybe this is a sort of ideal balance where they can, in quite a few of these games, maybe other than Dortmund and Sevilla away, they can pretty much get away with playing a heavily rotated team. I'm sure Haaland will want to make that away trip. I mean, this kind of just cements their status as one of the favourites, in that, you know, at least one of the other favourites, you have to worry about whether they even get out of the group in Bayern Munich. As I said just now, I think they will, but it's not a guarantee. Interesting to see Oscar there saying, I don't know why you guys still believe Man City can win this tournament. They can't. Well, because they have the best players in Europe. They're the best team in Europe. They just hasn't been reflected in the randomness of cup football. And like, the randomness of cup football doesn't suit Pep Guardiola as well as it suits a Carlo Ancelotti. You know, a Karim Benzema and a Thibaut Courtois can catch fire in the knockout rounds, and that can carry you all the way through. But like, if someone said to me, who would you pick in any given game, just in terms of the level at which they play, it's Man City all day long. They are the favourites. They'll get out of this group quite comfortably, and they will be tested. And maybe my only tip for Pep Guardiola, if we're handing out tips to managers, and I mean, you know, I'm not even as qualified as Mike to tell managers what to do. I've not played the game like Mike has. But I would just say, Pep, have you thought about getting some of that tactical noodling, the messing around, get that out of your system? Try it against Copenhagen. Play a back seven. Do whatever you need to do against Copenhagen to get that out of your system so that you can come to the Champions League knockout rounds. Play your 4-3-3, win your games.
Yeah, which is kind of what he sometimes does. And then sometimes he realizes that he wants to do it again in the knockout stages, which is like so weird. But I mean, I completely agree. Man City's winning this group. It's more about, you know, what do they do once they get out of there. But to your point, you know, it'll be interesting to see who comes out runner-up of that. Odds to win, by the way, the Champions League. We've been talking about them. Man City plus 250, Liverpool plus 450. And Mike, I know that you mentioned Bayern Munich. JJ agreed, and I think a few others as well. That's you know, it's not a terrible wager there to put on Bayern Munich to win this whole thing. Wanted to quickly just pivot though and talk about Group A, because that's tasty. That's a very sexy group, Group A, with Ajax and Napoli and Liverpool and Rangers. There's a lot of history there. You know, what are your thoughts on Group A, Michael Hood, and who gets out of it?
Gosh, man, they never make it easy when they do this draw. There's always a group. I know we do the group of death, but there's always a group that just makes you scratch your head and wonder who is going to be the team that takes advantage of Liverpool the most. Because if you're any of those teams, you're looking at Liverpool, given their performance against Manchester United, how they've started the season, and say, if we can get off the mark and get them early, we will take that any day of the week. I think these are all trap games for Liverpool, a depleted Liverpool team who is in more trouble than they realize. Season number 7, I want to talk to you about that for Jurgen Klopp. I was reading a stat about that. In his 7th season at all of the clubs that he's managed, it's been a disaster. It's been a disaster. And it looks like the house is on fire again for Jurgen Klopp because of injuries. And I don't want to make the bold prediction of them getting into the Europa League, but if that were to happen, it'll be down to the fact that players not being in form and players being injured. They need to get their midfield healthy. If they get their midfield healthy, just all bets are off. Liverpool will steamroll this group. The big matchup of that game for just people in Britain, the game against Rangers. I think Anfield, Ibrox, Champions League nights are back. Those are two of the most amazing Champions League nights and stadiums you can get in Europe, and I can't wait to watch the away and home, the back and forth of those two fan bases and clubs.
Yeah, I mean, 2 really tough places, or 3 really tough places for Liverpool to go to, because certainly the same at the Stadio Diego Maradona. I seem to remember English clubs have quite a poor record. I mean, I'm just doing this anecdotally off the top of my head, but it's always a tough place for English teams to go. And similarly, Ajax. I mean, Ajax for me are the really intriguing one. I think if you kind of run through the list of seeds, they feel like maybe the top seeds, that they feel like certainly one of the ones that could struggle. But I think, is that me just sort of looking at their, the players that have left, as we do every year, and going, well, there's no Onana, no Gravenberch, no Aller, Martinez, and probably no Anthony. But equally, they always replace pretty well. I mean,
they're just a well-run machine,
yeah.
like from their under 9s to their first team. It's very Brighton-esque, though I'm disrespecting Ajax because they've been doing it longer. Like they know how to replace
the Champions League Brighton, aren't they?
Correct.
People like myself and Mike Goodman always get carried away and think they're better than they are, but they're actually still very good. But they're just not sort of like a winner, which was maybe what I was describing Ajax as. A few games into last season.
Don't get rid of Anthony if they don't have an adequate replacement for him.
Well, Francisco Conceição already there.
Or Gakpo as well, I believe, is another name that's being discussed as well. It's just a very run team. I think this group is going to be interesting on how each opponent does away from home, right? And how they put up with that kind of. You mentioned obviously, Mike, Liverpool against Rangers. I mean, and vice versa on that fixture. It's like, what do you do away from home? You have to rely a lot on your home ground support, but equally when you leave the comforts of your home fans, then what do you do after that? All right, I want to quickly pivot here, though, by the way, about Group H, because Group H is an intriguing group as well. And I say that, and I have to remind myself what group that is. That's
PSG.
the PSG group,
PSG,
yes.
PSG, Juve, Benfica, and Maccabi Haifa.
The Angel Di Maria derby and Maccabi Haifa, basically. All right, so quickly, James Bench, interesting group. Who gets out of this?
As I was saying to JJ on our live stream, I think this is one of those groups that's really nice for PSG, in that the teams have luster and star quality, but are probably not quite on the level to test PSG. I'm thinking especially of this Juventus team, which has faltered out the blocks. Dusan Vlahovic kind of looks like the player that a lot of people were warning Juventus he might be, which is someone that takes penalties very well and will score quite a lot of goals, but maybe was not kind of worth the hype. And I think for me, this becomes a battle between Juventus and Benfica, who have replaced well the players that they've lost. You've brought in the likes of David Neres, who I'm really intrigued to see him kind of come to the fore. To the fore after what felt like a wasted period late at Ajax. They've done some really good business as well. João Victor, Enzo Fernandez is someone that is. I know I mentioned Pedro Gonçalves as well, but Enzo Fernandez is someone I'm going to put on my list of potential breakout Champions League stars. So they obviously lack some of the experience, know-how that this Juventus team still just about has. It's just about clinging on to. So maybe for that reason, like, you shade towards Juve, but for me, it's going to be one of those ones that's got a really intriguing battle for second and third.
I think this is the perfect group, as you said, for PSG, because it's not in that vein where it's an easy out and out group where they're not tested, they steamroll, but they're going to get tested enough in terms of can they be consistent with this new mentality under Galtier, that they seem to have this togetherness, this unified front of that front three of Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe, who look lights out, one of the most fearsome attacking trios in Europe right now. When I think about the rest of the group, I loved how we were talking about points away from home. Getting points when you go to Israel is going to be paramount. Getting maximum points if you're Benfica or Juventus, one of those teams will slip up against Maccabi Haifa, and you don't want to be on the end of a wrong result because you could find yourself in that third place in the Europa League. That's where this group is going to be decided.
Yeah, I'm so big on Benfica. Like, I like them a lot. You mentioned Neres and Fernandes, Enzo Fernandes, the things that he would do back with River Plate, and the fact that he can just transition so well in Europe is going to be so great. They do a very good job in the midfield to push up. I never venture to be so big on anybody that still has Otamendi in their team, but you know, with the Argentinian group and just how much, you know, he has been able to continue his development is pretty remarkable. I just think.
Who scores the goals for them, though? That's my question.
Well, their kid up front, the 21-year-old Gonzalo Ramos, is an absolute beast.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
He's a very good player. It's just obviously it's going to be a test for him. He's young. He's only 21. This is going to be about technique, talent, and sort of an aggressive poise against experience like Juventus. And you're right, Hamza. Neres did look very sharp in the qualifiers. Hopefully he can continue into the tournament. So it's going to be tricky because, obviously you have the winner in PSG. But after that, Juventus kind of fall a little. Like, listen, I always worry about Allegri in the continent because I just don't feel he's aggressive enough from an offensive standpoint. Yeah. So we have to wait and see. But it's definitely an interesting group to think. All right, we're going to take a break, everybody. When we come back, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of, winners or losers and predictions, most importantly. That's going to be the most interesting thing. And that should be it as part of our big Champions League draw day. James Bench, Michael Lahoud, Jonathan Johnson earlier, LME. We'll be right back.
Be specific. She seemed the same as you remember, or different.
Something's going on with Esther.
It's more than that, Mother.
That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Esther's behavior has been so erratic.
Who are you?
My name is Esther.
Orphan First Kill. Rated R. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back, everybody. Mike Lahoud, James Bench, LME, Jonathan Johnson. Earlier, Champions League draw day. We're just recapping everything. By the way, Paramount Plus is the only place to stream every minute of every Champions League match. And you can quickly and easily sign up for your very own account right now with a free 1-month trial by going to paramountplus.com/Italy. Oh, yeah. Paramount Plus is also the only place you can stream every single Serie A match. Just click the try it free button and use promo code Italy for instant access to the best European and Italian club soccer available across all of your devices. Visit paramountplus.com/Italy and start streaming today. All right, boys, James Bench, Mike Lahoud. Very quickly, not very quickly, let's just get into it. Let's do predictions, baby. Let's begin with this. Who is your underdog story here? Who's getting out of the group and nobody thought about it? When you think about all these groups, they're pretty evenly placed aside from Victoria Pleasant, but think about a team within these groups that you think they're getting out of the group and they're getting into the knockout stages. James Bench.
I know we've just been talking about them. I'm gonna say Benfica. I think they're probably they shouldn't be an underdog story, and maybe it kind of reflects the fact that I kind of, when I look at these groups, I do feel like there's either that like obvious top two, but yeah, I think Benfica could give both teams a bloody mouth. I think they might even take some points off PSG.
I like it, Mike Lahoud.
I'm going to go sticking with Serie A, as we talked about before, Napoli. With the way they've started the season, Victor Osimhen, this guy looks poised and primed to thrive in the UEFA Champions League. It's his team. And they're a team that should be confident. They have players who are the focal points for their respective national teams. That's important because it's going to be a World Cup year, and that stuff matters. And at the same time, I can't not stick away from the fact that could we get a surprise out of Rangers? I don't know.
Well, they are.
Ibrox, I don't know.
I mean, Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, Rangers. If you're big on Napoli for your underdog and you're big on Rangers, that means that table completely switches. But it would be a very interesting storyline. You stole my one. I was going to say Napoli, but I think I'm gonna go with, you know what? I'm gonna go with Celtic here. I think Real Madrid win that group, but Celtic can get out of that. I think they can definitely get out of that group. They have to rely on their home support. They have to rely on Celtic Park, but after that, I think they can do it. So, yes, I am sucking up to James Benj's grandmother.
Should be very impressed.
Yeah. By the way, one note about Napoli. Well, said Desnor, is there Keylor Navas could be on his way there to Napoli as well, and that would make them even more experienced.
Best goalkeeper in the Champions League the season before last in terms of post-shot expected goals.
Preach, my friend. Preach. All right, let's go to the next predictions. Let's go individual here. You mentioned Victor Osimhen. I'm pretty big on him, Mike Lahoud. But let's talk about your Golden Boot leader in the group stages.
Group stages. I can't help but think Harry Kane. Harry Kane. Spurs are in a very favorable group. Harry Kane and Tottenham, the Champions League could be where they get their offense back on track. I know week 1 in the Premier League, they look like world beaters in terms of in front of a goal. Last couple games, grinding out results, grinding out a tie against Chelsea, maybe not thriving yet, but I think Harry Kane will welcome those opponents and get off the mark quickly.
All right, Frankfurt Sporting and Marseille in Tottenham's group. Harry Kane, James Bench, who's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, you have to do the same thing, don't you? You kind of look for the group with the one super hyper team. I don't know how you pick Spurs for that reason. One super team.
Because you're on the pod, I had to.
And some scrubs to go alongside them. Some willing. I mean, basically, you need someone that might score a hat-trick at like once and then score again, like in bunches. And for that reason, I'm going for the king of the Champions League right now, Karim Benzema.
Ooh, the dream.
The winner of the UEFA Player of the Year, Karim Benzema. Real Madrid have a reasonably favorable group, Leipzig, Shakhtar, and Celtic. That's not a bad shout.
It feels like a group where he gets like one every game, and then there's one game where he gets like 3.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised none of you have mentioned Erling Haaland.
I was going to go
think
that route.
It's set there, obviously facing his former team. That instantly means a hat-trick for him. Sevilla as well, without Jules Koundé, Diego Carlos, they're going to be vulnerable in the Champions League. Copenhagen as well. It's got to be Erling Haaland. That's my pick for the group stage. Golden Boot. All right, Haaland against Sevilla should be tasty as well. Indeed, Des Norris. Let's do one more prediction here, or a few more, I guess. Well, let's do the big one. All right. Let's just for fun, just your early instinct. Who's winning this whole thing, James Bench?
City. I know it's boring, and I know I've just on the stream I was arguing with viewers. In the end, you kind of have to pick the team with the best players and the best system. And like I think City tick both boxes. You know, best system unless Pep messes it up, and best players as well.
I see your Manchester City, and I raise you Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich. I wish I had Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice that I could really just
Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich. No, I think Bayern.
I'm from the future.
They
get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. Sorry. Now you've made Schwarzenegger. Go ahead.
They'll be saying "get to the chopper" after they lift the trophy at the end of the season to get the heck out of Dodge and get back to Bavaria to celebrate. What I've loved about this team, they're prolific scoring goals under Lewandowski, and Thomas Muller. He just gets better as he gets older. Really, the linchpin in terms of dishing out dimes, but they've become so much more dynamic. Dynamicism is what I think of in this team. And different players can come up with different goals. The goal scoring load is not on just one player's shoulders anymore. And I think Mane getting a player like that who's hungry, who thrives in the Champions League, mind you, in big games, I think he could be a difference maker late on in the competition for him.
Yeah, it's a really good shout, Bayern Munich. And Sadio Mane, of course, adds another thing. My only thing, though, is that because they're so used to just sleepwalking their way in Bundesliga, in the knockout stages, they then face like a real legit opponent, and then which kind of contradicts my pick, which is PSG, because I think I pick him every season and I'm never right, but I'm going to go for it now. And it's only because of Galtier. I just believe in him as a manager that much more. That's my pick. All right, let's do something fun to end it all. Let's predict all the groups in rapid fire. So, Des Norris, I don't know if you have all the groups there on the screen, and we don't even have to have an explanation here, boys. What we're going to do is, I'll go Group A. Bench says his top two. Mike Lahoud says his top two. I say my top two. And then we move on. Yes, I can read that, Des. Thank you so much. All right, so let's do that. Let's go straight away. Group A, James Bench, first and second.
Liverpool, Napoli.
Mike Lahoud.
Liverpool, Ajax.
All right, I am going with Liverpool, Napoli as well. Group B, Mike Lahoud.
Atleti, FC Porto.
All right, James Bench.
Leverkusen, Atleti.
Wow.
What? And I know there's nothing to base the Leverkusen one on other than I like their players.
Yeah,
Patrick
I
Schick.
am going with Porto, Atleti. I think that's my pick. Group C, James Bench.
Yeah, Bayern, Inter.
Bayern, Inter. Mike Lahoud.
Bayern, Inter, no doubt about it.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm going to give Barcelona some love. I've been here for a whole month. I can't devalue this city. I think it's going to be Bayern Munich, Barcelona in that one. Group D, Mike Lahoud.
Tottenham and Marseille.
What was that?
I tried to do the Birmingham accent, and I get just
Birmingham
rinsed.
accent.
I tried to do just.
He did the Elijah Wood Green Street lecture. James Bench, what's your Group D?
Tottenham Sporting.
Tottenham Sporting. I am going with Tottenham Marseille. I gotta go for Marseille. It'll be amazing. Group E, James Bench.
Chelsea, Milan.
Mike.
Milan, Chelsea.
I am going with Chelsea, Milan as well. Group F, Mike Lahoud.
Real Madrid and Timo Werner and RB Leipzig. It's a good time to be Timo Werner coming back to RB Leipzig, and I think it's going to show.
Fair play, James Bench.
Real Madrid and the heart wants what it wants. Shakhtar Donetsk.
Wow, your grandmother has disowned you.
Yeah,
right
she's
now.
not happy.
I'm going with Real Madrid and Celtic. Group G, James Bench.
Man City, Dortmund, just.
Mike Lahoud.
I'm going to go Man City, Dortmund as well.
All right, and I'm also going to go Man City, Dortmund, so that's nice and easy. Group H, Mike Lahoud.
PSG, Benfica, ciao, Juve.
James Bench.
Yeah, much the same. PSG, Benfica.
Yep, that's me as well. So basically, our Serie A team is not talking to us at all after that. Definitely Kristen Cooper. She will not talk
she's
to us
going to
at
be
all.
pissed.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's it. That's our picks for the group stages. Listen, everybody, we did a live show before this. It's now the recap. We are done. But thank you so much for tuning in and listening and watching. We appreciate you. Don't forget, the Champions League is back, and it's only on Paramount Plus and CBS Sports. Final thoughts, James Bench, before we say goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, if you think this is good, wait till you see what we've got in store for the Europa League tomorrow, the real European competition. Yes.
We have. That's just you and Mike Lahoud. Mike Lahoud, what's your final thought?
Man, I've been waiting for this European competition to come back. It really rounds out how special the beautiful game is. And hey, football is officially back, and the Champions League is the tournament. I know United, I know Arsenal. We'll get ours. We'll get our dues. We'll be back in. But that's when you know European football is back. Champions League is back. Yes.
Well said. The Champions League is back. I want to thank James Bench. Follow his content at James Bench, CBS Sports, at Mike Lahoud, of course, and Jonathan Johnson, John_Le Gossip. I'm Element Chegaray. Thanks so much for listening to Qué Golazo. Please take a minute to leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. We're on Apple Pod, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're also available as video. Subscribe to us on YouTube visit YouTube. Thank you so much, everybody. Let's get to 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the shows. Keep on rocking. Weekend preview coming up as well as weekend recap and so much more. James Bench, Michael Hood, LME, Jonathan Johnson right before, Des Norris at the back. We will see you next time. Till then, bye-bye. Thank you so much.